Hey everybody, and welcome back. Right, well, I must have slipped up on one of the videos. As I say, I don't do any editing except the beginning, but I had a comment on this last one which I answered to say, why did I touch my nose at the beginning of the video? Well, that is my editing secret. See, I don't like videos where the people walk in and sit down and then get up and walk out. So what I always do, because the camera's way over there, is I set it recording, I walk around, I sit down, when I'm ready, I touch my nose and then wait a few seconds before I start talking. Then when I'm doing the editing, I run it along until I touch my nose and then I cut it there and discard that first bit. But obviously I didn't discard it. So if anybody else noticed, that's why I touched my nose. Okay, so as you can see, I got this finished. Actually, I made a much better job of the back one than the front one. It's a lot closer in. I don't know why, but I did. So anyway, that's all done. Got its cable on, everything is sorted at the front end. Gaiters, the shrouds at the top, all that sort of stuff. So I also cut, well, I'd already cut it, but I dressed up and tacked on the other one of these. I don't know, is this still in frame? The other footrest hanger. Here's the thing, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Hold on a second, I am going to walk in front of you because I want to see what's... Yes, you can see them. So there, that totally defeated the point of me touching my nose. These actual footrest hangers, well, whatever, they're not square on the end. I don't know if you can see it from there. The top part is narrower than the bottom part. So I put them on, and when I looked at the other bikes, I put it on with the wider bit at the bottom. All the other bikes, I put the wider bit at the top. So hopefully it doesn't make any difference to the way that... Well, I can fiddle a footrest, I can put a bit of alloy weld on or whatever. Anyway, so as I say, I've done the other bit. So we're really going to press on because we're getting close now. I got so carried away putting this on the other day. I came out for like an hour. I thought, oh, I can get that dressed up and put on. I got it all put on and tacked and everything, and then I realised I hadn't drilled the hole. Plus, I was going to make the little pivot point, piece of tube, and weld that on from the back and everything before I put this on. But anyway, so we're going to, first thing, drill a hole, put the bit of tube in, make the brake pedal, do our cable, everything like that. I'll answer this question as well. I answered it in the comments, but a couple of people asked, why didn't I just put the brake arm pointing down? Well, got to remember, it's a trials bike and you're going over stuff. The last thing you want is something sticking down. You know, if the brake arm was sticking down like that and I come along and hit it with a rock, whoomph, you want it everything tucked out the way so the brake arm points up inside. So we're going to get all that brake done on that side. Then the long rear mudguard came, so I'll show you that. We're going to make the hoop for that at the back. We're going to make a prop stand for this side. I'm just going to make one this time. And we've got to do the chain tensioner for the other side. I've got one, but we've got to modify it. So let's get stuck in and do the rear brake. Alright, so there's the hole. And what I've done is, this is a piece of 1/2 inch tube, that's a 1/2 inch hole. Exactly 3/4 of an inch long. Right? The pedal is going to have a 3/8 shaft to it, which will fit into that. Right, it'll turn nicely when the edges are deburred slightly, but it won't be able to wobble in it. There's lots of room in the back, as I mentioned. So what we're going to do with this is, it's going to be made, if you imagine that's the thread, it's going to be made just that long with the pedal on. And I'm going to turn this down to 5/16. So there'll be a little step. So when that's in there like that, you can see the end of the thread, there'll be like a little step, put a nut and a washer on, and this will be able to spin freely, but it won't clamp it up. So I made this a nice tight fit. Let me tap that into there, make sure it's all square, and then I'll just spot it. As I say, I wanted to do this before I put the plate on. It would have been so much easier, but I got carried away. All right, let me get that in there. So I've got that spot welded in there. Smooth the front off slightly. What I'll do when the frame's laid over is I'll run a nice ring of bronze around the back to make sure it's good and solid. All right, I've put the chain case on and I've put the footrest on so we know what we're doing. So I'm just using a 3/8 bolt for now. So the brake pedal will go on there, and it's going to come over here down to there, which is nice. It's not going to foul anything. I'm pleased because we want it to be, normally I work on 4 inches ahead of the footrest. So it's going to be, I think I'll take it to the middle of the footrest. So that'll be perfect. It can be tucked out under the way, tucked in out of the way, and as I say, we'll put curve in it. So you can't go straight, it would go bonk bonk, so it's got to go up and round, so it's got enough motion to do that. Then on here we'll put a stop for the cable, and I'll put it about there. So as I say, that is going to be quite nice. It'll go up like that and down to there. I think it's all going to work out fine. My new catchphrase. I notice I say fine a lot. All right, so let me make a cardboard template for this, and then we'll have to see. It depends on how big a curve. I've got some really wide. Is 1/8 going to be strong enough? We'll see. Let's make the cardboard template first. All right, I really do have to go to the craft shop and get some decent cardboard. You cannot do corrugated card, it just falls and all sorts of. All right, so I just stuck a 3/8 bolt in there, look, so that will go. This would actually be welded to that, so that's going to go there like that, look. As I say, this gives me centre to centre. Let me put my thumb. 4.5 inches. So basically, centre to centre of from the centre of this to the centre of that is 4 to 4.5 inches. I've just checked all the other bikes, and that's what it is on all of them. So that gives me. See, that'll be about like that. And that gives me all that movement. All right. Then, as I say, we'll have our cable onto there, which they hurt. With your foot on like that, see, I've got plenty of space for the cable. It won't get in the way. So. I'm not sure about 1/8. The others seem to be 3/16. I think I've got some 3/16 flat, but I might have to make it in 2 pieces because I don't think it's what would have to be. That would have to be 2 inches wide. I don't think I've got 2 inches, so what I might have to do is make it in a couple of pieces. Then we'll drill some snazzy racing holes in it just to make it a little bit lighter and not reduce its strength. And then make a little foldy, a little piece with serrated edge to put your foot on. Well, not your foot, whoever happens to ride it. All right, let me get some plate cut. Here's my 3/16 cut out to shape. It's still got to be dressed up. I managed to make it out 2 pieces. So I'm just going to weld this up, and then we'll make it all a nice shape. We'll drill that hole, and as I say, we'll drill a few holes in this just to lighten it up and make it look nicer. So that's that bit welded up. I've done a seam on both sides, nice deep root, and then I've topped it off a bit so I can sand it down. Don't worry about that little corner because that edge is going to be rounded. Alright, so let's let that cool. I'll shape it up a bit better and we'll drill a 3/8 hole. So here's all the bits, and I might have got carried away again because I drilled the holes in this and I forgot I have to have something for the cable, the clevis to go on. So I might have to put a little thing on there before I'm finished. Anyway, that is going to go in there and get welded on. So I've put a little collar on it. Then I had thought, see, this from there to there is just over 3/4 of an inch. So with a washer on and the nut, that will trap it. It won't squeeze it up, but it will, so it'll allow that to turn, but it won't do this. And then I thought, well, rather than steel on steel, I've got that nice nylon-y stuff. So I made this piece an extra 1/16 long, and that goes on there. Right, so let me show you up here. I'm just wondering actually whether I can get that on with the footrest on. Let me move you. Oops. Right, so there's the footrest on, see, so this goes in there. That, I'm gonna have to bend this out a little bit, which I really should have done before I put the holes in, because I don't really want it to bend where the hole is. But that'll come up a bit higher. That looks quite nice. Alright, let me put a bend in this. There. I got a pen? No. One after the second hole. Alright. Right, I put a couple of little bends in that. It's just struck me actually, if I'd have bent it I probably would have had trouble drilling it. So that now clears everything. Comes round there. And so let me weld that onto there. And then we'll have to see about making our little pedal. And we'll have to put a thing on there for that. You know, this is going to take me all day. It's amazing. I thought I'd do this morning. Hold on. Right then, since I had a little lip, I had to go doing an autogenous weld. It wasn't too bad. So, that goes on there. That goes there. We'll have grease on it, don't forget. That goes on the back. Oh, there's beads got in it from when I just bead blasted that. Yeah, hold on. Give that a little bit of a blowout. Now let's see if I did my measurements and my machining right. Let's tighten this up. Nice and tight. Maybe could have done with a fraction more sticking out. But that is fine. That, see, and the thing is it doesn't wobble. So now I've got to make a little doodad for here, little thing to put your foot on with some serrations. And a thing to go on there. Yeah, I'm going to have to put a piece on there. Hang about. Time to put a barnet order in. I'm down to my last one, clevis. Although actually I found when I take cables off because they're worn out, broken, if they've got fittings, I always keep the fittings. You know, if I hadn't put that hole there, I wasn't going to put one right at the end. I could just fit that in there. Whoops, I haven't got a 1/4 of an inch gap there. So I think I'll have to weld a little piece on the top. Ooh. Although, you know, would a 1/4 inch hole in there weaken it that much? Anyway, however we do it, we've got to put one of those on there. It'll be about like that. One of those on there,
thing on here, and as I say, then the cable will go up like that, because the chain guard will be there, so it won't touch the chain guard. Okay, let me make the actual pedal. And there's that. I forgot to put the little grooves in there, look. I was doing them sideways and I forgot to do the end, but that's minor. So there's our little rear brake pedal, and of course should be finished because there should be just another hole there, but we'll put a little bit of something there just to go up to that, but we'll do that tomorrow because you won't believe this, that there is an entire day's work. That's pathetic. I did go out and do some tree trimming at lunchtime, but not much. Anyway, that's it for today. So I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. All right, I've already done a little bit of work and I've made that. So that's going to go on there like that. And then that is going to go on there like that. And I had a nasty moment. I thought there wasn't going to be enough room to put the clevis pin in, but there is, because that's plenty of room. All right, so look, my little thing to jam in there is falling out. I've got, oh, there we are. All right, so let me, just to give me some idea of where I wanted it to be. All right, so let me weld this onto there, and then we'll see about this, and then we'll work our way back to the brake plate. So that is welded on there, and I shortened the clevis pin. There's not a lot of space in the back here. Actually, I don't know if I can I use this one? I'd like to use this one because it's already, see, these are for sort of a soldered on nipple, and they're captive. This one has a slot in the end. I've slotted them in the past, but there's a little bit less space. This is a chunkier one. And we're very close to things here. Now I'm going to use the other one. I'll just put a slot in it. I've got to drill a little hole in that as well. It's very long actually, the standard clevis pins. I get 1/4 inch ones. Alright, so that goes on there like that. It's about right for that. So now then, the next thing we need is a thing here for the cable. So this is the ferrule that will go on the end of the cable, and the end is 1/4 inch, and I just happen to have some 1/2 inch tube with 1/8 inch wall, which means that fits in there perfectly. So we can weld that onto there, up here somewhere. Now I have to do a little bit of bending still here because we need this. Am I putting you in shadow there? We need this to be as straight a pull as possible. Right? There's obviously plenty of room for the cable to move around a little bit. But so we're going to put that about there. So let me clean this paint off. We'll just tack it on, and then I'll get a piece of cable and we'll see what it looks like. Well, my toasted English muffin with melted cheese on it for breakfast seems to have worked, because I was wondering how I could check the lineup of this, and I thought, oh no, I'll put a bit of welding rod down. So I can see where I want it, you see. Didn't want you to fall out of there though. Because this is going to move, but that'll flex with it. So if I put it there, where are we? Because I'm also thinking about the curve for the cable. I was just thinking actually I might put it inside there, just it would be a gentle curve into there where the mudguard is. So anyway, that's where we'll put that. Just level with this hole, that lines it up for me. Alright, let me get that tacked on there and we'll take another look at it. Right, so I put that on there, I tacked it at the top, but I had to move it out slightly, so I've done a very nasty piece of bronze in there because it was really awkward, so that'll get... I'll do the other side nicely, then I'll grind that out and redo it. So, cut the slot in that. I've also made up the start of a cable. So, that will go through there. That, and again I've done the little flats there, will go... Come on now. I just checked that you fitted. We'll go on there, and that, I'm sure my hands are really in the way here, but we'll go on there. So there we go. Now then, let me move the camera and we'll start to look at the rest of this. Okay, well the first thing is I'm going to extend this. I'm going to put a curve in it. I'm going to bring it to here. Now I had thought of running this in the back of there. Actually, yeah. What we'll do is the chain guard is going to come up here, right, to be over that. We can put a little mounting on that and that'll keep us well clear of everything. But you can see here where we want to be. So we'll put that about like that. That's just a nice curve. That'll work easily because this is Teflon line cable. We need this thing. Hang about, don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. So that is going to go on there. Actually, see, as I mentioned, I thought that pointing up would give us this nice curve. I think I'll lengthen that just a little bit, just to give us some more leverage on the brake, right? And then we want that reasonably close in so we're not fouling the brake shoe. I mean, I can shorten this cable, it doesn't have to be that long. Yeah, I think we'll just... That's nice and clear of the chain and everything. That's clear of that because we're all the way in, so that'll only be coming further out or all the way in with the wheel adjustment. You can see we're on number 1. Yeah, that just needs extending and a little bit. And as I say, I might cut a bit off that outer just to move that. Because if I move it up there, it's starting to make that. If I want it to be like that, I don't want to put that extra little bit of curve into it. See, I don't want to be doing that with it. I want it to be a nice sweep. Okay, so the next thing to do then is to lengthen this a little bit. I'll maybe make a little curvy piece. So I've extended that about an inch and put just a little bit of a curve in it, so that's okay. So we want that to be pulling like that. So that wants to be about there, I think. So let me shorten. Hang on, where's the pen? So that wants to be about there, like that. Let's make a little mark there, so I know where that is. Right, and we'll take that off there. That there like that. Then that wants to come in about to there. So what, take ½ an inch off that. I'll put a mark on there. I haven't got the white pen. I'll be able to see this though because it'll be shiny. Alright, let me go and shorten that a little bit and see how that comes out. Right, so there it is. It's on its spot. That's pointing nicely to there, and now that just goes straight up in a nice long curve. So that's great. Now then, now I've got to put that onto there. Mark that. So that wants to be cut about there. And this is one of those ones that I was mentioned before. Don't forget, Michael, to put that on before you put the nipple on. Alright, so let me go and do the end of this cable. Alright, there it is. Difficult to show you this, keep your finger on. So I'm still on my little mark. That's fine. Don't forget I've got all that adjustment there. Got my nice curve. So let me take the wheel out, get that screwed on from the inside. And there it is, all on. I'm going to have to, doesn't matter because I'm not using these things, I'm going to just grind a little bit off there because it's a little close to this. But, and I've got to make a stop for it. I'm thinking about making, there's a nice hole there, handy hole. See if I can make a piece of plate, which is like a cam, so that I can turn it round and it'll push that down a bit. Okay? So anyway, here goes. You can see how close that gets to that. So I just take the tiniest little bit off there, but, and that I think is just nice. I say the chain guard, I'll keep it just over here slightly. And it'll be fine for the mud guard and everything. Very good. Alright, I think the next thing we'll look at is the chain tensioner while we're on this side. Right, well, so that's the chain tensioner I've got. It's the same as the one I used on the Enfield. I seem to remember I had to bend it a little bit. And also, there's a piece that goes in the middle, which of course I'm damned if I can find. Anyway, but if we put that on there like that, I'm going to stick my head in the way here. I'll put that on that sprocket and that on that sprocket. As you can see, I can get my hand in there. But I was just wondering, let me take that out of there because I've been wondering while you were away, I've been wondering how about putting it on so it works in the opposite direction. Putting it on there, like that, because that is almost spot on. Now I've got one this way round on my standard Enfield because there was a mounting and you know that was painted and everything when I decided I needed one of these, and I decided I didn't want to start welding onto the swinging arm that was painted. I don't know how far forward I can push this. Oh no, it's up against the thing there. But that, you see, goes on there like that. I mean, job done, because fortunately this is one of those that just has a spring. All I've got to do is put a little mounting up here to stick a spring on and we're done. Hang on, let me see, can I put that up there? Like that? No. Like that? No. No, the only way I can do it is at the side. How about that? I just bought a chain. Let me stick that on there. See, because I can make a slim thing. Let me try and rig this up. We'll just put straight on. That is exactly in line. Just been looking at it from the back. This spring is a bit weak. I'll have to get a better spring. But have it here. Actually, I might even have to have a thing up here for the spring to go on. Or of course I could just move this down here just to get more spring pull. But that line's, see, the reason I can't just turn it round is because all of this is a pressing. What I was thinking of doing was cutting that off there and welding it on here and making a mounting here, but I mean that's just spot on. I can't believe that. Yeah. Well, a spot of luck. And I've got one like this on my Bullet, and I've had it on and ridden a lot with it. It works perfectly. I'm going to leave that like that. That's nice to have a job that's so easy. All I've got to do, as I say, is do something about the spring so I can get more. I think I will just move that down. I could actually just drill a hole, put the spring in there, but we'll think of something. But that means I don't have to make brackets and all sorts of stuff. Well, that's good. Okay, might have a look. Yeah, I think we'll have a look at the frame loop for the rear mudguard next. I just found the little sleeve that goes in there. It was in a bag, and it had a spring with it. So that's the right spring for it. And it suddenly struck me, I didn't want that pulling that way. I wanted it pulling this way. So it fits on there, look, just perfect. Just a nice bit of stretch. And that's fine because this will move this way, so all it would do is put a little bit more tension on, not less tension. Great, so that's that done. So what shall we look at next? Oh, didn't I say I was going to do the rear mudguard loop? Let's look at that. Well, for a minute there, I thought that wasn't going to fit. What I've done is taken the rear suspension units off. They are 14¼ inches centre to centre, and full compression is 3½ inches, I think it is. 3½. Let me just check that. Yeah, 3½. So it's 3½ from there to the bump stop. So 3½ of 14¼ is 10¾ So what I've done is I've taken them off and I've dropped this down to 10¾ So that is absolutely the maximum that those shocks will shorten. And hang on, let me just walk around the back of here again. There is just enough room to get in there. About like that. See? Just, I thought I was going to have to start cutting pieces off the back of the airbox, but it will fit. Close, but it will fit. So let me move you. So the first thing we've got to do is make a little elbow there to hold that. Then we can make the loop. So I'll cut a hole in the, I'll drill a hole in the mudguard. Actually, I could have cut a piece out so it will sit right. I've got to cut a piece out this side for the mudguard, for the chain line first of all. So let me do that. Cut a piece out for the chain line, drill a hole in, then we can put that where it should be, make that little knee, and make sure there's enough space to be able to get a bolt and a nut in. Alright. So I cut a piece out of there, and because this is as high as the wheel's going, that's as high as the chain's going to go. Oh shit, I'll need a bit more space than that for the chain guard. Never mind, it doesn't affect what we're doing. The mudguard's still going to be in the same place. So I've also drilled a hole in here, and we're going to measure how far out it is from there. And then I can make my bracket. So the bracket's going to come across and up to make it easier to get the bolt in. So it needs to be that long, well, a bit further down, about there, plus about an inch going up. Alright, let me go and cut a little piece of plate for that. So there's a piece bent and fastened to the mudguard. So all I've got to do now is tack it onto the tube. Alright, it's a bit awkward to get in there with the oil tank and everything, but I'll manage. So there it is, bronzed on along the top, and of course I didn't whip the mudguard off fast enough, so it's melted the mudguard a little bit, but we can deal with that. So the next thing is the hoop on the top. Right. So let's see, we want it to cut, we don't want a lot of floppiness at the back, but we don't want a huge great loop. So we'll where did I take it to the other? It's about midway, so it wants to be about here. So it wants to be about 8 inches in the sides. 9 inches. Hang on, let me have a look at the other bikes. Yeah, the others I took it just past here, so to about there. Yeah, we'll say 9 inches. Right, let's go to the tube bender and see what we can manage there. Right, let's see how much of a mess we can make of this one. I just realised it's a good job I only buy 6 foot lengths of tube, because I would be hitting the wall back there with a longer length. So, according to this, the radius on the centre line is 7 inches. So the radius on the inside will be 3/8 plus 3/8. That's 3/4 of 7 inches, so it'll be 6 1/4. The inside space I want to match up with the frame is 7 1/4. So we don't want to go to 180 degrees. Right, so I've measured 8 inches down here. We wanted 9, but we know that it takes, well, the bigger tube, about an inch to get into the curve. So let's see what we can do. Well, hang on, I'm going to have to move stuff. You know, sometimes when I'm doing the videos, I don't think my mind is completely connected. I never put a 6 foot piece of tube in here, do I? Or I don't need to. I'm only ever going to bend 2 or 3 feet. Ah, well. So let's take this round to, well, what we'll do is we'll measure it. Hang on. God. I have to go and get my tape measure again. You know, I have, well, apart from the 6-inch ones, which you know I've lost, I have like 2 sets of measuring, well, rulers and things, and they always end up, so I can have one down here and one up there, they always end up, both of them, at one end of the workshop. Well, that went a long way, didn't it? Boop, 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 boop. If I had more space so that I could just have this mounted somewhere out of the way, I might get a hydro. You can get a little add-on thing, a couple of brackets, and then you go to the cheapy tool place, Harbour Freight, and get one of their hydraulic rams. And then you don't have to do this. Actually, when it's hydraulic, it doesn't need to be mounted that well. I could just do that. And then if it came off easily. Right, we're going to have to move the pin now. So we move that right round there. Actually, God, Michael, I didn't even put the pin in. I was pressing it on that. Oh, Lord above. End of the week. Let me bend this and then bring it back. Almost finished, but I wanted to show you this. That's round to 175 degrees. And we're at 6 3/4 there, right? Let the pressure off. And it springs back, that's 8 1/4. Sprung back 1.5 inches. So let me do the last little bit. Right, that I think is about it. Yep, 6 1/4. So let's take this off. I'll cut that. Why didn't I cut this before? Because I'm never sure about what it is. So let me cut that and then we'll go and try it, because I've got to put a couple of little copes in there as well. Alright, let's see how far out I am this time. Don't forget, I'm supposed to be about here. About that much too long. Now, before all of you people who know how to use a tube bender send me very helpful comments, for which I'm always thankful, but let me tell you something, I'm born idle. I'm not going to start making templates of tubes and all sorts of stuff. I do half a dozen of these a year, if that much. So, thank you very much, but you're not going to get me to change my idle habits of a lifetime. So we'll cut it that much off. See, look, I've wasted all that tube. Let me go and cut that. Right, let's have a look now. Very nice. Okay, that'll do. So I have to put tiniest little cope in, which is why I'm not using my coping thing. Just a quick file will do it. And then we'll bronze that on there. Now we're going to make up a little bracket here. But that is going to be after a cup of tea and a sausage in a bun. So I'll see you in an hour or so. Alright, so there's the little cope in. Actually, they're not moving. A bit like that. Just in from there. Okay, let me do a bit of bronze. I can do that without, that's one thing about the TIG bronzing, I can bronze that with the gas torch. I would have set that mudguard alight. Alright, let's get that well tigged, and then I'll lift this up so the mudguard's out the way, do a bit more TIG, and then we've got to see about putting a couple of mounts at the back here. Alright, well, I got ahead of myself a little bit and didn't show you something. I decided for this, because there was a curve this way and a curve that way, and unlike with the alloy mud guards, I couldn't just make a bracket to bolt on and then weld it, otherwise I'd melt this. I wanted a really close fit so I could just cut a couple of spots on to hold it and then get the mud guard out the way. So I decided to make it in two pieces. So I made a piece to go across there like that, and then I made a piece for the top. So that goes on there like that. Actually, I've forgotten, I've got to cut it down. But that's how it's going to work, like that. So let me make that look a little bit nicer, and then we'll tack it on, drop the mud guard down, bronze it, and then we can lift it up and drill the holes, and that's the mud guard finished. And oh god, it's 4:20. Then I think that's going to be it for this week. So let me do this bit of cutting. There we go, starting to look something like. You know something? That cleaned off, and this bead blasting thing, I think that looks rather nice in grey and white with the alloy bits. I might paint that grey. You know, all of this really just seems to fit in with the white rather than the very dark frame. Tell me what you think. Anyway, that all fits in. We know that can go all the way up to the top because we tried it, and actually that's with the wheel all the way in here as well. So with the wheel out a little bit, which is why I might have had more space actually. If I put this about halfway, I bet I would have had that same amount of space that I had when I was trying the mud guard. I never thought of that. So there we go. I've got to take the mud guard off again, of course, because when we make the chain guard, as I say, I'm going to have to cut a piece off. But I don't think that's looking too shabby. Alright then, I'll say that's it for this week. So next week, chain guard, prop stand, front petrol tank mount, mount for the ignition coil up there. As usual, we just drill a hole and mount the box, the little electronical box for the ignition there. I think that is it for the frame. So I could strip it all down. Well, we'll make up templates and all our measurements for the tank, and then I can strip this, paint the frame while I'm working on the tank, then put it all back together again. So frame, swinging arm, shrouds, forks, front mudguard stays to be painted. You know, I think grey would look nice. A nice sort of dove grey, well, like that. Like the metal is as it comes out bead blasted. A nice dove grey. Not that funny greeny tint grey that the BSA 250s had, the last ones, which was, I restored one and I got that paint matched up and painted on, and it looks awful, but that was the colour they made it. So anyway, let me stop waffling and let you go. So until next week, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.